All right. All right. Well, I'm going to get started now. Just a couple minutes past 10:30, so we'll get going. But hi, my name is Michael Ray. I am with Patient Care Marketing Pros. And today we're going to be talking about your website because ultimately, with a website, every clinic needs one. If you don't have one, that's the real starting point. So we'll go ahead and identify that for sure. But overall, though, like we're going to be going through why that's important, marketing in general, why looking at conversions, how to increase your conversions, and things like that. But we'll go ahead and get started. First, a couple of basic things. Just want to walk through it real quick. Is I have muted everyone, so we're good there. But just make sure you're engaged on this. Of course, if you have questions, please throw them in the chat, and then I'll make sure Hannah brings them out for me and we'll go through that. Our goal is between 60 and 90 minutes for today's topic. Depending on questions, it may be a little bit longer. We'll just see. But ultimately, what we're going to talk about is how to double and triple the number of your patients, because that's the ultimate goal. And your website is definitely part of that. So, but real quick, who are we? So, Patient Care Marketing Pros, we do SEO, Google ads or Facebook ads, social media posting, website design development. So our goal, of course, is digital marketing as a whole. So, and ultimately is increasing your patient load. And we have quite a lot of experience in that world. And so part of today is one of those pieces to the puzzle that we do a lot of work on. So let's talk about the problem itself. Marketing is not cheap, right? I mean, you can put some dollars into it, but we all know that sometimes you have to go to a certain level of investment to make it worthwhile. And so here you are, you're dumping tons of money into your marketing. And that could be in the size of print, that can be in the size of digital, TV, radio, all these different things, thousands of dollars, right? And the goal, of course, with any type of marketing is to grow your business. Because if you're not growing your business with marketing, sometimes you got to find that ROI, that return on investment. If it doesn't make sense, then you have to try something else. And we know that too. And that's I would say that's the beauty of digital is simply we actually can track everything that we do. And so we can say at the end of the month, hey, help generate maybe 100 patients or 200 patients. And then you can see like, did I spend enough? Did I spend money? Did I get money in return? That's the beauty of digital. But overall, a lot of money spent in marketing. But here's the problem. You spend all this money, you got to send them somewhere. And if they're going to your website, which is most are, even if it is print or radio or TV, you always put your website address at the end of those commercials. And that includes on just about any platform or like in digital, like that's our starting point is a website, sometimes a landing page or your main website. And if that's not built to convert, you're going to lose every single time. And so and we've seen this 100 times where you have all this influx of volume on your websites, but nothing like there's no increase in patients. And sometimes it's very simple to fix that. And sometimes it takes quite a bit of effort, but we all know it's all about that conversion part of things. And that goes back into like, it doesn't really matter how much dollars you put in. If you can't convert them, you're not making money, just low ROI. And that is such an important part to our business because we even tell people like, if you're not making 5, 10 plus to 1 ROI with us, you're probably, we're not doing the right job or something's wrong. And we know that we've had a lot of experience in it and we understand like that's a real number that's achievable. And that should be a thing you should put on your marketing company as a whole. Like, hey, where's my return? I know I'm spending this, but I'm having a hard time realizing if I'm actually making money. Because ultimately it's that bottom line number on your profit and loss statement where did you make more money or did you lose money when you spent some more on marketing? So, and then of course that all leads into if you don't want to look at the numbers on the money side, you actually look at the side of it's an empty waiting room. There's no booked appointments. You have staff that's just waiting around, and you don't want that. You want your staff to stay busy, and you want to have predictable flow. And so, doing it right makes all the difference. So, and of course, it boils down strictly to you're just can't grow because ultimately, like we have quite a few clients. Like, generally speaking, if somebody engages with, they're wanting to grow. They want to take their business to the next level. They want to increase their patient volume. They want to just overall make a lot of our clients actually usually end up adding another location typically. Like they max out a certain location, they have the funds, and now they're going to look to add a second location or a third. We have a client right now that has over 9 locations, about to add their 10th. And we know like as they do that, like there's a tipping point. So all that being said, that's one of the biggest problems, right? If you put all this investment in, but you're not actually growing from it. So what we're going to talk about though is the website. And actually in the background, this is a website that we have built for a client, just to kind of show like a basic background screenshot there, but it is built to convert. And building to convert, what does that actually mean? Ultimately, when somebody gets to your website, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. It doesn't matter of all the content on it. If they can't get to the conversion that they want to do, which is 9 times out of 10, that you can see it right now, even in the background, schedule appointment, check in online. It's amazing if you don't make that super obvious, it never actually gets clicked on or they ignore it. And you're saying, well, it's my website. I know exactly where it is. Well, that potential patient that just did a quick search came to your website. If they can't figure it out in a couple of seconds, and we'll go through this, you lost because they're moving on to the next one. There's an urgency behind what they're trying to do. And if they can't figure it out very quickly, you end up losing. If they can't figure it out on their phone, which is even more important than the desktop, that's actually something we have to harp about quite a bit. Is while your site may look really good on your laptop or on your desktop at your office, it's really how good and how well it functions on your phone. Because if you don't do that, um, you're going to lose out, because I think we're approaching like 70+% on your phone. So that's why this is such an important topic today, because I don't want you to spend thousands of dollars and then your website doesn't convert anything. There's a reason why we run a lot of landing pages with paid ads, because the more specific the language can be, the more likely they'll convert. But yeah, so talking about that, like this is where, even though website design, we're on a heart of it today, it is part of a total marketing strategy as a whole. And you got to make sure they are consistent across the board. You're not, because the last thing you want is one view or brand on this side, and then the other view and brand on another side, and it doesn't match up. So people get confused, because the last thing you don't want to deal with is accidentally having an issue where they didn't realize that, oh, that's the same company. I didn't realize that. So all that being said, whatever, if take away from any of this, whatever marketing that you do, it needs to line up, not only just in colors and like photos and your logo, but just the messaging itself needs to be completely aligned. If it's not, it's going to look strange to people. And the reality is, your brand super, super well, but your potential visitors don't, and they need to make sure, you need to make sure that they understand what they're seeing. So yeah, and this will help and we know this, as things are coming together and moving the whole ship in the right direction, it builds that momentum and builds that consistent growth. Because that's ultimately, like, if you're not consistent or you can't have predictability, it's difficult to make those next decisions on strategy. So if you're not doing that correctly, it's a big ordeal for sure, from the standpoint of, I mean, I know personally, like if I don't have an actual, like if I know next 2 or 3 months what's going on, I can make a decision. But if I have no clue, I'm just hoping, it's hard to make that next decision. And that's just the big thing that we push on too, because we know that first 90 days with a client, that marketing that we do, there's a lot of ups and downs, but you start to see the smoothing out and the predictability behind it, and it starts to grow. And then you start to make better decisions all around. Yeah. And then goal ultimately is that you're increasing the amount of appointments coming in, the amount of businesses starting to grow, and you're getting that phone to ring. So talking about the website itself, no matter what you do, obviously digital is a big part of what we discuss. They're going to that website. And if it's not there built correctly, in the sense of fast, in the sense of easy access, and basically like there's just, when they get there, they get that relatable part. Like, I know where I'm going. I don't know about you guys, but whenever you see like a shopping ad, you say you're shopping for shoes or you're shopping for really anything, and you click on an ad, and you click on it and it goes to the website that's supposed to have that product for sale for you to buy, and it goes to a different product, you're like, that's not what I clicked on. I'm really, really confused. Oh, we have somebody else. Let me pop them in right there. So Brianna is on as well. So, but yeah, so that kind of goes back to that part of things where uh, that website, like it has to be just a result people are expecting. Because like I said, if I go and I click on that shoe and I go to that product and it's not there, I'm hopping off every single time. I'm going to hop off and move on. I'm not going to make that purchase. I'm not going to be that conversion that they wanted, but they wasted dollars on the click that I made. And so you want to make sure that that is completely covered in that sense, because if you sit there and you're running ads or talking about let's say annuals or physicals or something like that, something you want to push that's not just being sick related, you got to make sure that when they engage that that's going to the right page on your site or going to a landing page. Because ultimately, if you're not doing that, they're just going to say, this is not what I was hoping. I'm moving on. And we know that you have like a couple of seconds to make that conversion, because we know, like, less than 10, it's happening. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. So let's put some numbers to it, right? I like numbers. I hope the people on the call like numbers, because this is what we're going to look at real quick here. But these are all, these are scenarios. These aren't exactly right. But and we're talking about visitors to your website right here. So let's just play some basic numbers. So 1,500 visitors per month. So and that sounds like a large number, right? On your website, that's 1,500 people on our website. You'll be surprised how many actually show up on your website on a monthly basis. If anything, if you're not looking at your analytics on your website from time to time, you're doing yourself a disservice. And if you're curious what analytics is, at a bare minimum, you can get Google Analytics installed on your website, and you can get a monthly report sent from that software. You can see what's up. But generally speaking, we know 1,500 visitors per month is pretty average. Like that's not a big number. It's very common. If you're multi-location, that goes in the thousands for sure. If you're brand new, sure, you're going to be in the low couple hundred. But generally speaking, if you're an established clinic of some sort, yep, you will definitely have that extra piece of like about 1,500 or so. But all right, so we'll set the table, right? So 1,500 visitors per month to that website. 5% conversion. So we're saying, 75. So when we say conversion, an action was taken. So in that sense, the action is, generally speaking, for an urgent care or for any medical, it's they called or they went online and made an appointment. Now, sometimes that call is an existing customer and they're just changing an appointment or verifying an appointment or need to check on something. We understand that, but it's kind of hard to differentiate that from time to time. But we're saying, yeah, so 5% conversion. So in a month, you had 75 calls and or appointments. All right. So they did something. Of that, you had 30% actually fully convert into some type of patient, right? So, and that can be an existing patient that came back after a couple of, a year or two or a few months, or it's a brand new and they just did a search of urgent care near me, medical clinic near me, whatever you guys are part of, the near me part on Google, and they found you, they clicked on you, they went through, they either called or went online and made a full appointment and they showed up. So we're saying 30% of that, you're looking at 22 booked appointments. So we went from 1,500 down to 75 down to 22. And then the basic math of it, we'll just put an average transaction on there of $250. Obviously, that can range quite a bit depending on insurance and services provided. We're just picking an average. So $250, so that's $5,500 in your pocket from those potential new appointments, right? So now we flip over to the scenario number 2. Basic math again, same concept, but now we've increased our conversion by only 10% at the top level, right? So when you do that, you're now you go down to the line, you're like, oh, $16,750. And we only increased our conversion rate by 10% at the top. We didn't necessarily change the conversion rate inside once they've gotten into our system. So think about that. So think about how important that is. It says book jobs. Should have said booked appointments. My bad. But think about the idea, because we didn't change the transaction fee number or anything. But look at that. You're talking 3 times, right? and we start at the top level, and it just makes all the difference. And why is that even important? Because your website is part of that top level conversion. Like you want to see that conversion start to happen. So just kind of think through that and say, like, what else can I do to increase that? And then, of course, this is the tripling the patients and revenue, right? Obviously, this is not total revenue for your company. This is ideally like a revenue generated by a marketing company or just marketing efforts in general. And these are focused on the new patients potentially coming in. And so this is where we talk about, let's start optimizing for that conversion. So when you have actual conversion moving over, and so this is just an actual screenshot of one of our clients. And if you notice right here, extremely phone call heavy. There's a reason for that. People still like to make calls. Web forms, like we couldn't track all the way into their appointment system because they're using like a Clockwise or something like that, but because the Clockwise doesn't allow us to talk to it. But we can see 154 phone calls. That's a chunk, right? And then you can see, so GMB clicks just to let you know that is on the Google profile. And here's the thing about your Google business profile is Google doesn't want your visitors to go to your website. They really want them to engage on your Google business profile. We can't stop that. We can't manipulate Google. We can only just play by their rules and take advantage of things when we can. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some free advice. If your Google business profile used to be called Google My Business, if it's not up to snuff, and that can be from reviews, new content, setting the appointment link, putting correct hours, adding your logo and some updated photos, that's huge because Google really just wants people to stay on google.com in the search result. They want them to engage with that profile. They don't want them to go to the website, but we know deep down what people kind of split up their views, right? So they'll click and you can even see it right here. So GMB calls versus phone calls. So that phone call was they went to your website and we were able to see a call come through because of our efforts. GMB calls that they never made it to your website, but they clicked the call button on your Google business profile. So look how split that number actually is. It's almost 50-50. And that's a problem, right? That's a challenge because you don't have a ton of control of that profile. You can add stuff and make some adjustments, but you can't really change the full look of it. You can't make it sound really cool. You have to be very strict because we talk about the cool part when naming profiles. You got to be careful. So we've had situations where a client wanted to rename their profile just the keyword that they're trying to rank for, and Google blacklists that profile. So Google wants you to be transparent and honest your whole way through and not manipulate their system. If you manipulate it, you lose. And the last thing you don't want is a blacklist on Google. And people say, well, how can they blacklist you? Oh, they just simply quit crawling your main website and then shut down your profile. So when you do all that, then you're just kind of stuck. You got to have to hit the reset button. And that takes time, and money. So I just want to show you that right there, just to kind of show what it looks like from just a general optimization part of it. So why is getting your website built to convert important to you? We kind of go through this, like ultimately this is to increase your conversion. So if it's not obvious by now, your website has a huge impact on, if you're spending $10,000 on marketing, your website can control how much of that's actually going to convert into potential patients. It just does. Like, so I just want to reiterate, like we even tell people, if their website's terrible, sorry if it is, and terrible to us, it's old, hasn't been updated in years, it has dated information on it, or doesn't work on the phone very well, if at all. We even tell, like, we don't want to start marketing until your website's done. It has to be done. We even have a package in our world, that our pricing world, that's we include the website just because we need to make sure we win. Because I can throw dollars and stuff all day long, but it's that classic, situation where you got to make sure to, if it's think about a car, you got to make sure it looks really good and drives really well, because that's that, you ever hear people talk at car dealerships, it's the test drive that convinces someone. Now it's a thing of pricing and just getting the purchase. But if that test drive doesn't go well, and that you ever sat in a car, you're like, nope, don't like this. I don't like the way it feels. And you hop out when you're car shopping, there you go. Because it may even look kind of good, but when you engage with it and it's like, it's not what I expected, there's your problem. And all that, that money that dealership spent to get you into that door, they lost on the test drive. Same idea with your website. You could be losing on the test drive. Somebody test your website to engage with to make that conversion, and they didn't like it. So real quick, so I'm about to go through a workbook of information. There is a link right here to get to. If you guys need to have access, yeah. So Hannah's actually going to put that link inside the chat right now, just so you have it. And just want you to engage with that. So we're going to go right, like that link is what we're going to be talking about, but we're giving it to you. So once again, if we go too fast or you have a bunch of questions or you just need to kind of digest it later, you'll have that link. It's a Google Doc. You can literally just save it to your own Google Drive, download a PDF of it, whatever you need to do. It's there for you. So just want to make sure you get that link and engage with it. And then, of course, give us feedback and let us know, is there something here that we're going to go through that you wanted to hear, but you didn't? I'd love to talk through that. But let's go through this. So this is on that actual worksheet. We're just kind of going to go through it. So this is the 12 critical elements to enhance conversion. Number 1, speak to your target avatar. What are their fears and frustrations? Speak to why they should choose you. So, and we'll go through the individual details here, but yeah, I mean, when we say target avatar, we're also saying your target demographic. Who are you speaking to? Because you can't say, my service is for everybody. It's not. I mean, you want that, right? Because you want all those people coming in your door, but ultimately that's not what you truly want. You really think it should be more along the lines of, hey, we'll take a simple example. I'm a pediatric urgent care. The reason I bring up an example, some of our very successful clients that we have, so we've had these conversations in the past. But I'm a pediatric urgent care. So I am talking to not the child, no, never the child, the mom, the new mom. I'm talking about it's a warm process. It's clean, it's easy, it's convenient. So I'm only a couple minutes away from your location. You can get appointments very quickly. We're very caring toward your child. And then we have late hours because we know you're working and you can't take off work immediately. And you kind of define your business around that, because the more you can talk to your particular target, the more likely they're going to convert. I mean, every single time, like we know this, like the more specific you get, the more likely that something good's going to happen. All right. Be real. Use authentic images of your team on the homepage at the website. Yes. Big deal here. Stock photography does not work. Sometimes you're forced it. I get it. Sometimes you just don't have a choice. But if you do have the choice, hire a photographer, a local photographer, and have them do photo shoots. Now, fair warning, I know this from personal experiences. The second you do a team photo shoot, somebody quits. We know this. So be careful, right? But you need photos of your doctors. You need photos of your nursing staff. You need photos of your facility, of your rooms. You want people to feel really inviting, right? Because they're judging you the whole time. And that website is your front door. Like sure, you have people that drive by, but they even drive by and say, what was that? I don't know. All they see is a sign, or maybe just the actual front piece of the building. They don't see anything else. They go to a website like, what is that? Or they have a need and they look up and they dig in. They're going to convert way more often when they see a real person and they see real people interacting, and it just feels relatable. And another little bonus piece when it comes to using actual images, it is amazing how many people will get a shot of the owners or the main doctors, and they'll put it on the website and they'll push it on social media, and they'll start getting messages. Hey, I didn't know you worked there. I didn't know you owned that. And these are friends or friends of friends that had no idea that person did that. And it all of a sudden boosted that part of things. So just keep that in mind. That's a little bonus to having real imagery, but yeah, you got to be authentic the whole way through. Obviously, there are some elements where you just have to use a stock photo, but that's okay too. But ultimately, if it's not homepage, trying to make it as real as possible, just using a bunch of photos that you purchased off Canva or something, it'll look kind of like we even had a recent client come on, and on the doctor's page, they had like a generic stock photo. I was like, yeah, we can need to just hide this page or not show a photo at all, because that's misleading. You don't want that ever. So just keep that in mind. Next. So this is taking an extra step, right? So use video multimedia elements to engage different modalities. So what does that mean? Videos are super important. We know most people that run videos are going to have higher conversions. These aren't long videos. There are different forms of videos to run, but ultimately, like, you are introducing people to your company. You're introducing people to your process. You're introducing people to your team. And so, or the services that you offer, or the differences that you make. Cause I can go ahead and tell you right now, it's way more interesting for someone to go on your website to see a video than to read forever. Like, we know people, this is a general joke. We know people don't read ever. You know, if you can squeeze down your phrase into like 5 words, you'll win. I mean, think about billboards for a second. They don't put paragraphs on billboards. Oh, it's because you're driving by. No, it's because people just don't read very far, and they don't want to read. That you got a couple, you got 5 words or less that could do say something, and you have to engage in that. So just remember that reading is really for Google. Google wants to read and connect the search properly, but that welcoming video, the video of your services, why you're just, you can't, you know, go out there and blame competition or put them on the spotlight, but you can say how you do things differently. And I will say this, and I'm sorry for those who think that, oh, we have really great customer service. Everyone says that. So there's not a change there, but if you can show the better customer service, either by a process or a flow, or just the engagement that you create when a new person walks in the door, then you can talk about customer service. Because you can think all day, my customers are better than any competitor. Sure. And they think the same thing. But if you can put some meat to it, it makes it even better. Next is social proof. So social proof is showcasing your online reviews, probably on your homepage. Google review is king. It is. If I got to boil down anything, social proof, it's just super. Don't get stuck in the metric side of thing of social proofing, where social media has changed over the years, and it's really changed in the past 3 to 4 years, especially with like TikTok and stuff coming on, and Facebook kind of getting a negative vibe. Social posting is important to show that you're active and available and open. Because the last thing, so let's say you're a practice and you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Pinterest, you have Instagram, all these platforms, but you haven't posted on them in 2 years or a year, maybe even 6 months. If I don't know who you are, I came to your website, I clicked on your social links, and I went out and looked at them, and they all had nothing on there for over a year, I will start to assume you're closed, or I'm going to start to assume that you are not doing well. That's some of the assumptions that may happen. Some people may not even care, but there are those assumptions like what's going on. And I know that seems like, well, I mean, I'm so busy, I don't have time for that, or I don't want to pay a company to. That's fine. I honestly would tell you, it's better to not have a dead. It's better to have no profile than a dead one. So keep that in mind. Same with reviews. And we say Google reviews are king because Google reviews do lots of things other than just the review itself. But yeah, Google reviews, they should. The thing with Google reviews, real quick. So it's good to have reviews. It's 100 times better to have an actual review with text behind it, not just a 5-star review. Also, there was a report that just came out about 3 weeks ago that said a 4.6 or a 4.7 average review is more impactful than a 5-star average review, which seems strange. Is because some people just assume, because the industry has shifted over time, people assume if you have 500 reviews and are 5 out of 5, they're assuming some of it's fake. But if you have a 4.6, that's a different assumption, right? There's some 4s and 3s in there, but let's see, did they actually correct the issue or engage with the patient? So let's think about that. If your reviews, you're coming in and you're not answering them, good or bad, if they're all great, that's cool. You still have to respond to them. If they're bad, you have to respond to them. Now, I'm not saying you need to basically say do whatever they want, but you need to say simple. Like we even have some templates and stuff we've used for clients. Like this is a starting point. You adjust it to your own. But yeah, so let's talk about how, and that's just so important. But on the website itself, you can embed those things. So, because there's the thing, when people have testimonials and stuff, those are very curated, right? Like these are very controlled things. But if you embed a Google review widget on your website, and now you can control it in the sense of only show 5 stars or only show 4 stars or better, but it's live. Like it changes every time a review comes on. It's not static, and people can see that, and they can click on the link and go look at all the reviews. And that's that engagement point when they're trying to figure you out. All right, so that's on that part there. Get back to the basics in order here. So phone, this sounds basic, right? And we'll go through this with some visuals, but let's talk about this. Phone number in the top right-hand corner. Sounds kind of strange, right? Like, why is that just the standard? Well, in our country, we read left to right. There's a reason why the logo's on the left and the engagement's on the right, because our eyes lead left to right every single time. It's just the way we read. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, if they're reading left to right, top to down, you want to make sure what they're looking for is it within eyesight and reading immediately. You don't want to hide stuff. And as you saw with the previous slide, there's a ton of people calling you, just a ton. And so let's make that easy, right? Online appointment option is a must, or at least a contact form. Yes, 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 and yes. So if you don't have an online appointment option, I just going to have to ask you why. If you're in medical practice and you don't want to do online appointments, why? What's stopping you? I mean, I know there's costs involved, but think about what the cost is that you're losing out on people that can't get an appointment at 10 o'clock at night. Like submit for one, not necessarily go to the clinic at 10 o'clock at night, but they're in bed, they're not feeling good, or they wake up at 5 in the morning feeling terrible. They can't go in on their phone and do it. A quick, simple, here's a perfect example of this, unrelated to medical. But so for instance, my wife, actually yesterday, she had an issue. She could not get to the hair appointment. She had set weeks in advance, couldn't do it. So she tried to call them, wouldn't answer the phone. That's the problem. Then she just went online and submitted. I had to cancel. And she's like, well, I'm going to have to figure out something because she had called them and said it and all this stuff. I said, well, let's go online and see if they have other because they had another location. So at 4:30 in the afternoon, go online, boom, there was a 6 o'clock available at the other location, done. And now that company has our dollars because of the online appointment, because we weren't going to call at 5 o'clock because nobody was going to answer. We knew that, but we went online and filled it out, and within 2 minutes had an appointment. Same concept here on your medical. Like, they have to have an online appointment system. If you do, great. If you don't, please look it up. If you need an example, Clockwise, we have a ton of people in Clockwise. I don't say we're not sponsored by it. I don't say it's the best choice. It is a choice that we see a lot of people engage on. Next, add credibility with authority symbols. So are you accredited? Like, do you have membership with different things? Sometimes it could be even a chamber membership. Are you part of that? They want to see like you're legit, you're part of something, because the reality is any person can spin up a website and pretend to be something, but it gets a lot harder when you're adding all these credibility pieces because there's things tied to that. And then you just have to gotta show off a little bit, right? Because it doesn't make a difference. It may be small, but it doesn't make a difference. Ensure you have clear call to actions on each page that speaks to your avatar and tells exactly what to do next. Exactly. Don't give them a bunch of choices. Make it very, very simple. We know if you go beyond 3 choices on anything, they're never going to choose the right one. So if there's only 1 or 2 true choices, just make it obvious. And you're going to have to repeat yourself a few times. Any high converting website, you'll see the same call to action mentioned at least twice or more as they scroll down the page, because we know people don't pay attention. And when the second they start to pay attention, they're looking for that next step. Special offers and coupons that match services they're in need of. Yeah, if you guys have a special offer of some sort, who knows what it could be, just engage with that side of things, because that's a huge deal for sure. And that can be as simple as, hey, next time I want you, a little bit of a discount, or it can be we're doing a giveaway. It could be all sorts of stuff. Next is make sure your website is mobile optimized. The click to call function, we'll look at that too. But yeah, boiling down to that website, making sure it's completely mobile friendly. Is it easy to navigate on your phone? Is stuff on top of each other? That's a problem. Is it tap to call? We'll go through that. Live chat. Now our web chat, which can be live, automated, or hybrid. Web chat is something interesting. So you have to be very careful with it, because if you don't have good process around your web chat, it can hurt you. All right. Get pages a book online. We talked about that. Site speed does matter. Yes, site speed's a huge deal these days, not just from an end user standpoint, but also from the actual Google side of things. Google really cares about how fast your website is. So we'll talk about that, and then engage with texting and phone. some automations tied to it, and we'll go through some of that as well. But no, but the texting thing is really big. We know there's a lot of people that don't want to answer their phone, but they'll respond to a text or they'll click a link in a text to engage with you. It sounds, if you're a clinic has a process where they're calling up to follow up on appointments, and it's just a repetitive, and they never get in touch with those people. They just don't answer their phone. A text they'll respond to makes a big difference. All right. So one of the questions out there, what is the one element that will have the biggest impact on results on your overall internet marketing efforts? Talking about how we optimize for conversion. So it's always going back to trying to get that phone to ring, because if we can't get that to ring, then it doesn't matter. And then is it actually properly set up to convert to that? And we talked about this website briefly. This is an existing client of ours with a new website, and that we'll be launching. And it's all about that engagement. And this was what we call cut a screen. You can obviously see two options here, and this is something coming from them if we really want people to book online. Analytics makes all the difference. Like we talked about the analytics side, but you want to see that conversion happen, because look at the session duration. You have like, this is Google saying they're spending less than $1 million on your website, which means they're not reading, they're engaging, they're hopping off pretty quick. And that's okay. You want them just to engage. So just keep that in mind. Like, that's a pretty big impact there. And notice here on the organic side, so 3,000 sessions in less than a month. That was only 24 days. Organic. So people are going to Google and they're hopping in. The direct ones, that means they probably know about you and they're typing in your domain directly. And here's another example. So this is an interesting example from the standpoint of, this is a multi-location. This is a pediatric urgent care, lots of engagement here. And one of the first things when you get there, you can see, right, you can go online, find your location near me, view the locations. We're trying to make it super obvious that adults and children can do COVID testing as well. Just trying to make it super, super, super obvious. Sometimes it feels like you're being like, well, how don't they get this? You still have to do it. It's amazing sometimes what people will miss. And you'll even see there in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that chat bubble even pop up saying, hey there, I want to say something to you. And that particular chat is incredible what it has done for them. And it even shows here how things have shifted with see how look at that duration go up a little bit. Big deal there. And you're talking 80% plus of your sessions are new. That's a huge number. That's a lot of new people coming to your website. 8 out of 10 people that are coming to your website are brand new in this situation. Here's another. This is a much more cleaner, simpler example. And this is a weight loss company. So it's not an urgent care. And you can see right here, like, let's get started. I'm interested. It sounds, leave a review. It sounds like, well, why did y'all use that language? Well, it's because if we just put contact us, okay. But if it talks to them, I'm interested, I want to do something. Sometimes it's amazing what 2 words can do sometimes. So keep that in mind. And right here, within that cut, weight loss simplified. So you're in the right place. You're talking about that. And then let's get started. Like, that's just how smooth it goes sometimes. And once again, look at that. Almost 90% of their sessions are brand new. That's a ton of new people coming in. And you can see that too. Look at the organic side over there. So look how that organic is at 3,500 sessions. It's huge, absolutely huge. So how can we get your website to convert just like that? If you can, it's kind of a tongue twister, but if you can see Joe Jones through Joe Jones' eyes, then you can sell what Joe Jones buys. I have a hard time saying that. What does that mean? If you're able to see what your preferred person is trying to engage with, then you can sell them what they're looking for every single time. And this goes through that avatar, and we're going to walk through some of that as well. Like, there's a lot of pieces of this. I can't go into a lot of detail because it takes some time. It takes a lot of time. But what it boils down to, let's talk about that ideal person. Who they look like, homeowner. And some of this seems like common sense, but it's really not. Sometimes you have to kind of pull stuff out. We even had here's a good example. We even had a daycare that we found out that the person that engages with a daycare also just so happens to hire lawn care services. Never thought about that, but it makes sense if they have a daycare and they that means they have to work because they're having somebody to watch their children, which means they probably have decent income. And that means that they're probably hiring out other services they don't have time for. So kind of walk through that. So that's who your person particularly could be. But looking through that, just kind of read, this is just examples, what it could or could not be. But you got to walk through all that. Pains and frustrations, this can be pretty common, especially if you're a walk-in. You don't want long waits. You don't want the scheduling process to be painful and long and just hard. You want to make the visit as smooth as possible with the doctor and the staff. And then there are people that they have different worries, and you make sure you're identifying those worries and taking care of them appropriately. So, but just kind of walking through that, you just want to make sure the whole thing makes sense, because the point of engagement for your patient from the website to they left and paid for their bill, how smooth was that? How well communicated was it? And who is that person? On the fear side, they may have this, it sounds so strange, right? So like they want their kids to grow up healthy and successful. They want to buy that nicer home or car, be well respected. Like these are the type of people you're trying to deal with. So, does it make sense? Do you want to identify with that particular type? The fears and implications side, goals and desires, they want to have a healthy home, take care of their family. If they have good health, they can make more money. There's just layers to this. You got to think through it. Some of it just seems strange, right? But then when you start to define it, it all like, oh, if I can define it this well, then I can dictate that on my website, dictate that on my social media. I can speak to them every single time. But messaging that works. So here's some simple messaging, right? Talk about that 5-word thing: quick wait time, satisfaction guarantee, trustworthy doctors, nurses, and staff. It sounds simple, but it makes a difference. Satisfaction guarantee, that can be left up for interpretation for sure, but it is there. And it's just things to think about, making sure you're saying the right thing. So the messaging does make a difference. But here's a really cool example. This is an existing client of ours, and this is their 5 pieces of communication on their website, and it's very focused. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, we weren't the ones that invented every single word on this slide. They had some additional help as well. But walking through this: personalized solutions, caring approach. I'm going to go to the right order. Personalized solutions, healthy foundation, caring approach, flexible financing, convenient app-based access. Think about who they're talking to. It's very, very focused. It's very conversational. So just think through that. And you want to make it sound unique to you as much as you can. You don't want to go off in the deep end of your own type of language and people don't know what you're saying. You got to be careful. You got to speak common language, because if you're a doctor or an owner or whatnot, your language may differ from your patient. It usually does. So you want to make sure it makes a lot of sense. So like, and this is an orthodontist, right? So personalized solution, that tells me that they're going to look at me. I'm not just a number. They're going to treat me very personally. Healthy foundation, making sure everything's done from the get-go. We're not just fixing a smile. There's deeper layers to that caring approach. Like we care about this. We care about you. You're not just a number again. Flexible financing. Getting braces is expensive. We have options there, and we want to make sure you're taken care of. And we've thought through this, and we've made it a lot easier from that standpoint. And then app-based access. That's the standard in these worlds today, where people, if there's an app that allows them to interact with their patients and it's very smooth, where I can just engage that easily with the doctor, you're going to win. And then here's the actual doctor himself. So real picture, not a stock photo. And he has a real conversation where he's like, I'm actually, part of these associations. We help educate. It's very focused. It's very approachable. You feel confident that you're dealing with a professional. So that makes a difference. It really does. Now, here's the thing. Will everybody read this? No. But if they do, it's giving the right message every single time. And then there's that learn more about Dr. Bates. So like I got more to say, click and go through. But it's very inviting. It's very friendly. Because doctors are very similar to like attorneys and other things, where sometimes I'm afraid to say something to the doctor because the response may not be what I want. So just bringing up that, but I'm professional, and we're going to take care of you. Here's the other side. This is like a why choose thing. What makes us a little different? Obviously, once again, people don't necessarily read all this, but you need to make sure it's there. You got to showcase who you got to show things off a little bit, and you can see the engagement there, and just how important it is. Why choose us? We're more than just your typical clinic, and here's why. Special offers that match your service or interest in. Make sure it aligns properly. Sometimes, this is the massage therapy that we work with. So you can buy gift cards for people and then just engage with it. It's a nice little gift. And then we don't have it in this slide, but they have special offers around Christmas. Like you buy a couple of gift cards, they get you a free one for yourself. Just simple engagements. All right, mobile friendly. Big ordeal here. I could talk about this all day because it's so important. But yeah, in a nutshell, your phone, it's just everything. And you know that. Like if your website can engage well on a phone, then you have a problem. And you're right here that Google reports that 40% of mobile consumers turn to a competitor's site after a bad mobile experience. That's a huge number. So that's 40%. If they left your web, if you go to your analytics and you're seeing huge bounce rates where people are just hopping right off and they're not staying on very long, and it's even and majority of your traffic's mobile, you need to look at that. You need to literally pull up your website on your phone. Are they engaging in the right spot? This makes a lot. Does it make sense or not? It's got to be clean. So you just got to walk through that. Next, there's a click to call. This is one of the simplest things that you can do on just about on your website, on any platform, is making sure that link, or you have a live link for your phone number. It sounds crazy, but if they're on their phone, now phones have gotten better. They recognize when you tap a number and they'll try to say, oh, that's the phone number. Let me connect and make a call. Doesn't always work that way, but you can force a link out of it. So, and when I say simple, it is simple as like when you make a link, a hyperlink on your website inside your content, that's what you're doing for your phone number. So, and it's literally TEL, so TEL phone number. That's it. When you do that, click the call, super easy on your phone, makes a whole lot, it's convenience, right? If I have to copy that phone number, paste it into my phone, I may miss it. I may have another call come in or a text pop in. I get distracted. I try to engage back into that and then I forget where I was. And I'm trying to look, and it went from a few seconds to a few minutes or never converted at all. It is so simple to do that. If you're not doing that, please do. If you're not sure if you're doing that, once again, open up your clinic's website on your phone, go to the phone number, tap it. What happens? If nothing happens, it's not clickable. So live chat. Live chat's a fascinating situation with websites. So live chat's been around for years and years and years, and it's evolved. And there's layers to a live chat. So we're showing this one right here, is automated. So this is an automated basically workflow that people go through. And the reason why they wanted this wasn't so much to just they were wanting it to help curb some of the phone calls, because a lot of the phone calls were, when are you open? How can I do this? And they're trying to push people toward just book online. You don't have to call in to make an appointment, book online. They were trying to free up the receptionist for different types of calls. And this entire, what you're seeing the screenshot of, there's an entire workflow behind this. So if they tap appointments, the next day will be like, what location are you interested in? Or based on this, we know you're at this location. Click here to get an appointment link. And just goes through layers. And so that's one version. The next version is a little bit beyond that, is a hybrid. So hybrid is, and you've seen this, you've engaged with it. You go through these little click throughs, and then it says, still can't find an answer you're looking for, click here to engage with a live agent. There you go. Now here's the thing. There are tons of companies out there that offer live agents like as an option that you pay for, which is not bad at all. But if you don't have a well thought out process and how you want that agent to respond to answers, it's going to hurt you. There's even we had a situation with an attorney we were working with, had a conference call, I mean, not conference call, but a call center. And I was checking in on calls and stuff, and his conversions were going down because the call center didn't know how to properly convert them into an appointment. And so you have to be careful when you hire out a live chat or a call center, because you gotta check on it, because if your conversions are going down and the use of the web chat's going up, there might be a problem. So you gotta see. So we had like the automated, the hybrid, and the live version is straight up live. So this is, you have somebody or a company constantly involved, always engaged. Most common place you've seen this is probably on a car dealer website. So they, like connecting to Live Agent now. That's a real thing. So that means there's a real person on the other side. Now, if you can do it internally, if you have the resources to pull it off internally, yes, do it internally if you can, because that's a much better engagement process. And they can make, because the most frustrating thing is when you engage with a live agent and they say, we sent this information to the dealership or to the doctor, and they will reach out to you. It's like, well, I kind of wanted an answer now, not a put off answer. So just keep that in mind. It does make a big difference in different ways, but you gotta think through it to make sure your foundation's correct. So kind of working through those, which of those would you probably implement right now? I'm telling you, if you want the simplest one, it's the telephone link. My goodness, if you're not doing that, you're losing out. Get that online appointment out there. I always like web chat's really great, but it's one of those, it's a nice to have, but you have to be very thoughtful about it. Pick 3 to implement in the next 30 days. That's my push to you. And so walking through that, what are those things you're going to implement based on today's seminar? All right. And then biggest facing is the unconverted leads, talking about the unconversion of those leads. So 50 to 60% inbound traffic leads unconverted, 9% web forms fail to convert. That's a real thing. And here's why. Patient leads that are not followed up within 15 minutes go cold. That's a real thing. So if they fill out a form, they don't book an appointment, they fill out a form. If you don't contact them within a couple minutes, you lost, because they're just going down the line to the next one. Because right now, there's no relationship there. Like they've never been there before. They never had an interaction with you before. They're just picking one. They're looking at the top 3 on Google. Click, click, click. Send. Whoever responds back to me first, I'm probably going to book that appointment there, or if they answer my question or whatever, huge deal. And then also, average customer must be followed up within 5 to 7 times before booking. Like that's a real thing, where you have to have those engagement points. Sometimes it can be automated, and don't get me wrong. Like sometimes you can have, I fill out a form. They get a text on their phone that says, "Hey, we saw you fill out a form. Here's some basic information. You want to go ahead and book now and click here? Great. If you have more questions, go ahead and call us." That's an automation that can just happen. And that can be the same thing when they book an appointment, because sometimes they just don't show up, right? Well, if you have inside your booking software, are they sending that additional? We know that text messaging works. Send that additional text message, like send it either like an hour before or a day before, however far in advance, right? So they're booking an appointment later that day, fire off that text. Going back to my wife's example with the hair salon, like they ask for a phone number first before anything else, so they could text you. So once they did that, because that literally couldn't book an appointment without getting a link on a text. So they're verifying that your phone is real, right? Then they book the appointment. Then it sends off another text. Hey, here's the confirming of your appointment. Here's the details behind it. Boom. And then the salon person that she was engaging with sent her own text and said, "Hey, this is so. I know you booked for this. Could you go? You can come earlier if you like, because I have a slot." Great. We'll do that actually, because that works out for us. Boom. Done. It's just amazing. But if I'll be honest, if we had submitted that booking and nothing confirmed it to us at all, I'd say I don't know if that actually worked or not. So think through that. Just think through it. So talking about, I just went through all this. Whoops, got a little ahead of myself. But yeah, it's like multiple messages. Texting is the way to go. 9 times out of 10, you just got to think through it, and automation can really help you with that. But it goes right back to that math that we had earlier, that conversion point increasing from 30% to 70% on the actual conversion of those people makes a huge deal. So if you don't have so it's talking about funnels, right? You may not have a top level funnel issue. You may have a bottom level funnel issue where they're actually coming in the door, but you're not able to convert them because of X, Y, Z. Who knows? But just to kind of keep that in mind as you're going through this, because there's layers to this, and you got to think through it, because because we notice all the time, if we're bringing people to you, but you're not converting them, you're going to fire us really fast, because if anything, we made things harder for you and you're not doing anything with them. And so you lose, we lose, and then there you go. Yeah. Makes every lead you generate more value every single time, makes a huge difference. And let's see if we can do this for you. So if you got any comments, put them out there now. Comments are in the chat itself. Hannah will ping it or cop on and let me know what it is, and we'll go through that. And then finally, just as offering to you guys, I'm coming up to the 60-minute part here. So just kind of looking at this, go to patientcaremarketingpros.com, schedule time with us. This is a 15-minute strategy call. And when we say strategy call in 15 minutes, we're true to that, where we look at everything. We tell you what could work and what not work. We can even tell, like, hey, you're awesome at this. Don't want to touch it. There's been many times, your website's great. I don't want to touch it. It's fantastic. Or, hey, your SEO is on point. I don't see any ads running. Or your ads are really good, but you're not ranking organically. Like, we don't want to just sell you everything. We'll say what makes sense, right? If there is anything, we've had some say, like, you're doing everything right. Why are you talking to me? And then they'll say, well, I mean, I just want to take, well, our second opinion is keep doing what you're doing, maybe increase budgets, but that's it. So that's just telling you right there, like, we're not here to hard sell you. We're here to figure out what makes sense for you. Follow us on all the different channels. TikTok's a lot of fun, actually. If you're on TikTok, go check us out. We have a lot of fun with that, but we're kind of everywhere for sure. And we have a really cool podcast. I wanted just to kind of engage on that real quick. So Nick and Nick's not on today's webinar, but Nick, the owner, he and I engage on a weekly podcast, and it's all about medical marketing. And we bring on guests. If you think you should be part of this, send us an email, see if we can figure out, put a time with you. But we engage and talk about how to do things. And we have a little over 50 episodes out there right now. We've been doing it for a year. So really once a week is how we kind of function on it. And it's only 20, 30 minutes. So if you need some information, want to talk about some stuff, just kind of go check it out for us. And then, of course, just referencing, this is our website. Look for all the call to actions. Look at there. But patientcaremarketingpros.com, you can engage with us there. And that's it. So we just finished up there. I got about 58 minutes on the clock. So I'm always open to any conversations, any things that come through, looking at chat and so forth here. Let me hop out of the share. There we go. But yeah. All right. Let's see. Anything in the chat side of things? Nice. Okay. Any questions whatsoever from anybody? I hope it was informative. Dr. Obi, I don't know if you're still on or not, but I hope it was helpful to you for sure. And that's it. So I will catch you guys on the next one. I will encourage. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. That's awesome that you stayed on. And we'll be sending this out as a recording as well. And then, of course, check out our podcast. And it'd be fantastic. We love comments and questions on the podcast as well. So we really want to encourage any of that for sure. But we will catch you on the next webinar coming up, and we'll go from there. So see y'all then. Thanks.